Okay,
We're live.
you're live.
Okay, so the approach that I thought, for me at least, makes most sense, and oh, there we go. No, it says live. Sorry. The approach for me at least that I guess made the most sense and I can relate to is the relational approach. I feel like in like my experience, at least with leadership, this one made the most sense and works the best for me. I feel like your team and I don't want to say like your followers, but your team and who you're working with I feel like work better and respond better to a leader that they're genuinely bought into. And I feel like once you have these, open and strong relationships with the people you're with, that buy-in kind of comes natural, and then they genuinely want to either produce results or stand behind you based on your relationship. And I think that just builds a stronger rapport and makes you a stronger leader and has more of effective results versus honestly like the trade approach and to be honest, the situational approach. I don't want to say don't work or aren't true, but I don't necessarily agree with. Yes, like with the situational approach, obviously like the what was the example the book gave? It was like you're not gonna lead the same way you would lead like the army, the same way you would lead, like a business team, which obviously, yeah, that's true. But I feel like a lot of the characteristics and like the same techniques you can apply or alter to kind of like facilitate the needs of each outlet. And then honestly, the functional approach too is something that I like a lot, and I agree with that. With that too. I don't know what you guys think.
Does someone else want to go next, or do we want to share what Alyssa, her contribution?
I
Sure.
just set a timer real quick. I don't know if anyone else did. I just started it for 10 minutes because we have to stay somewhere between 12 and 15, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I was definitely listening to you. It was really hard for me to pick like exactly which leadership style I liked the best because I felt like there was a lot that could be blended together and like you get some really good like benefits from each different one. But yeah, let's share Alyssa's. That way we definitely don't shortchange her. Anyone
Yeah.
wanna read through that,
I
Jillian?
have it on. Yeah.
Cool.
So situational makes the most sense for Alyssa. Once a situation is determined, other approaches can work if the situation merits, path goal, etc. Um, I'll have to say, yeah, situational makes the most sense to me as well, but also it doesn't because I've been in an experience where I actually went through the situational leadership program, and sometimes I think it starts putting everything like in boxes, like you have your followers and they don't have as many skills, or you have your leaders who are inexperienced. So I don't think it oftentimes accommodates for a leader being inexperienced, as in my experience with situational leadership. So I'm more of a fan of the transformational leader because I think you kind of hit all aspects of that empowerment, the inspiration, the supportive, the coaching, and creating that vision for your team. Where I think some of the other leadership styles lack. And then charisma in general, you're just going off of basically kind of your personality. So I think that one is, I think there are certain people who can actually drive um, their leadership off of their personality and get their followers motivated. I know that's certainly not. I certainly don't kind of. I don't have that type of personality. I'm not a someone I think of is like, unfortunately, Donald Trump. Like he's got that charisma where people, even though we might not agree with what he has to say, and he does have a knack for getting people to follow him. And I certainly can't say it's because he's down in the trenches side by side with the people he works with. For some reason, his personality draws people in. So, kind of my thoughts on leadership.
I think that makes sense. I um I was focused, I don't know why, but for some reason path goal theory of situational stood out to me more than a lot of the other ones. It's on page 82 if you guys wanted to check it out at all, but it was just hard for me to really pinpoint down what I thought like the most appropriate or perfect leadership style approach would be. but probably because of the position that I've been in, like my entire career, path goals seem to be the best. I've always been someone that liked coaching other people and helping them like develop and train different aspects of their personality or different like skill sets they don't possess, in my industry at least. And so my industry is very heavily rewarded with commission. So you usually get a lot of people that are really motivated by money and by helping people. And so it's really that like, it is a path goal, because as long as you have someone or like a follower that's willing to listen and wants to grow and wants to do better, it's really easy to kind of just gather that group. And if you have the experience or you have the track record for it, it's very simple to become a leader to some of those people. Like currently right now, so I work inside of like a bank branch, but I handle just the wealth management parts of things, but I've done everything inside of the bank branch. And so like I know all the hardship they go through. So like part of path goal theory is supportive leadership. And so like I know all of the hardship that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, especially when it's like challenging for them to send referrals my direction. But also with directive leadership, which is the first bullet point there, I coach them and I teach them a lot about what I'm doing and what I'm looking for. That way they're very wise to make sure that the quality referrals are there and that they really understand what's happening. A lot of task coordination and just learning, I think, is huge. And so I don't know why, but just this one was what stood out the most to me. But I think they all had, like I was saying, good parts, and I think that you're right. Transformational kind of touches on all of them, and it's a pretty good trait to keep.
Yeah, I agree that.
Definitely.
Jolene, you could. You want to finish?
Oh, I was saying, yeah, I could definitely see that in your type of industry, Julian, just because, you know, when there is that incentive or that commission,
Yeah.
I'm a recruiter, so sometimes I'm recruiting for a sales position, so I totally get that's the incentive that people are motivated by. Then, you know, that's the type of leadership style. But I also think, too, you know, you can kind of shift. I think as a leader over the years, I've shifted from being authoritarian to situational. And I think you kind of, I don't know, take a little bit of everything, because they all resonated with me at some aspects of it. But I definitely think, you know, you don't lead every team the same, or you don't kind of, every situation isn't always, you know, the same.
And that's what I didn't like about situational, because it's like Dominic was saying, I wouldn't lead people the same way. I don't know. It was, some of it I felt like just convoluted information, but yeah, I don't know.
So for me, I'm still a firm believer with the trait approach. I still feel like, you know, certain leaders are born with certain characteristics. So I like the trait approach. I feel like that's the core foundation for any leaders. You have to have that certain characteristics. If you're evil, if you're selfish, self-centered, yeah, there are times you could change a little bit, but to me, it's still your natural behavior will shine in certain situations. So if you're a selfish person and during crisis, you might just think about yourself and not about your team. So I do like the path goal theory, because I think every follower needs to know what their goal is. But I'm still a true believer of the trait approach. And of course, once you have that, you could always develop a person into a better leader. And just being able to switch from situational to functional. And of course, the ultimate goal is to be the transformational leader, but I still feel like you got to have that core foundation.
I think for the traits leadership style, the social appraisal, page 75, that part was really cool, because it was talking about just like acknowledging and really adapting to how different personalities are. And kind of playing off of that, because as we've all probably experienced, there's lots of different personalities in the world, and how people handle different situations completely varies. So being able to kind of change how you're going forward to adapt to that person and to help them like move forward in the process, I think that's like a psychological part of leadership, and that was really interesting for me reading that.
Yeah.
But I agree. I like the certain things of traits as well that must be there in terms of being a leader, that just like crucial.
Yeah, because as an executive assistant, I've been supporting so many different leaders, and you could tell, like, there are some that is just so selfish. They might not show that in front of their boss or other higher executives, but you could totally tell that they change once they're with their subordinates or other people below them. So I feel like you really have to have that natural behavior where you do want to lead, you want to better others. So.
Mm-hmm. Sandy, if you're an executive assistant, I only had a taste of doing some coordinator work, and working with senior leaders is eye-opening. So I'm sure you've experienced some bad behaviors in your time being an
you could see some that they work so well in crisis mode, and there are some that would just don't know what to do because they're so anxious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I think trait leadership is really interesting, even though it's been seen kind of as not effective. But I think, like you said, there's certain elements of it that you see. I think in my post this week, I find it really interesting because most CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are actually 6'2" and male. So I think that right there tells you that, trait leadership to a certain extent is really kind of in our social culture of what we view, people in general view as leaders. And I'm not saying it's right, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
We have 15 seconds, and I started after Dominic finished, so we're probably right between 12 and 15 minutes, I think.
We're good.
Yeah. Do you have a timer, Sandy, that shows exactly how long we've been live or anything?
No.
Yeah, ours don't have it either, so I think we should be safe.
All right, so I'll stop broadcast, and then I'll send you guys the link to this.
Yeah, perfect.
All righty.
All right, cool.
Thanks.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.